Hey everybody, Stitch1993 here, and welcome back to another Let's Talk About Movies We Own. I'm here with my wife Shelby.
Hey everyone!
And as the videos we usually do at the end of every month, and we're starting on a new genre today. It's going to be fantasy, which is one of my favorite genres. If this is your first time watching these videos or just listening to them, because it's just our voices over some still images of IMDb posters, it is just me and my wife giving our thoughts on the over 1,300 movies that we own physically on DVD and Blu-ray, and we do them in alphabetical order in genre, and the genres are in alphabetical order as well. So far we have done action and adventure, animated, Disney, drama, holiday, winter, horror and Halloween,
Comedy,
documentaries, and we even went over our Criterion collection. We've got two videos that we're going to be doing this month and the end of next month.
Yep.
For a fantasy genre. And yeah, if there's ones that we haven't mentioned, it's probably because we either aren't aware of them or we just don't own them. So we're just going to each give our own thoughts. And if you like these videos, of course, comment down below and like and subscribe to watch future videos. So we're going to start with one of my favorites, and probably the only good live-action Dr. Seuss film, in my opinion, which is The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T, which is also the only live-action film that was made while Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, was alive. He was on set, and he said it was just a horrible experience, so he never wanted to anything live action ever again. And I think that it was just a bad experience. I think this was actually turned out to be a really good original film. It's not based off of any of his books, but the artistry there and the rhyming, for the most part, is there in the way of musical numbers. The only real famous person that's in this that I can tell is Hans Conried, which is Dr. Terwilliger. He's been in a couple other films from around that time there. I don't think I recognize either the other cast members, which is Peter Lynn Hayes, Mary Healy, or Tommy Rittig there. But yeah, this story is about it's an entire dream sequence, and it's an entire dream sequence from the very beginning. But it is about this boy who gets taken to basically a piano boot camp, and it's all led by the Dr. Terwilliger guy, who's like this big conductor, and he just wants all these kids to play on this giant piano that's just like goes all around the stage there. It's 5,000 fingers, so it's like what, that's 500 kids there.
Yeah.
That each have supposedly all 10 of their fingers playing on this piano, and why, I don't know. That's just the plot. He's got his mom kidnapped, and so he teams up with the plumber, and they go and rescue his mom. It's very Super Mario Brothers-esque in regards to story. To be fair, the Super Mario Brothers main story is a very generic story, but it's just very weird that it is a plumber, and she's dressed up kind of like Princess Peach sometimes, so it's like maybe subconsciously this was a bit of an inspiration, who knows, for the Mario series. But yeah, it's just kind of a one set piece after another of just Dr. Seuss mayhem there. If you like the art style of Dr. Seuss and you want something that's like a lot less, this is definitely made for kids. It's a lot less adult oriented than the stuff that would come out in the 90s and 2000s live action wise there, and definitely no adult humor in there. So yeah, and I've done a whole, uh, you know, movie video about this back when I was doing movie videos there. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts and the more plot information, you can check that video out. Your thoughts?
So I will agree the sets are really cool, but I just don't care for the story of this. I don't really care for the story. I don't really care for the acting. The only cool thing about it for me is the sets. It's kind of a nothing burger of a movie for me.
Mm-hmm. I do really like the music too. Some of the songs, probably just more, or I wouldn't say earwormy, but they are kind of catchy. And if you watch the movie enough times, they will get stuck in your head. So especially like Get Together Weather, that gets stuck in my head every once in a while.
I feel like if I had seen this as a kid, I might be more nostalgic for it and might enjoy it more. But I didn't see this until I was in like my mid-20s.
And see, I technically don't have that much nostalgia for it. Like, I didn't like, yeah, this movie came out in the 50s, but I didn't see it until I was like midway through high school. And it was just kind of a, let's see what the hell. I wasn't even really big into Dr. Seuss at that time. Like, I did have some of the books, and of course grew up, learning how to read those books, but it wasn't like I'm like now where I have a collection and I have gone down the rabbit hole of learning about the history of all that and such here. It was just kind of a spur of the moment. I saw it at Blockbuster, so I rented it for an afternoon, and yeah, it was weird, and it's just kind of one of those movies that just kind of stuck with me, and I bought it when I saw it for like $5 at Big Lots. And I just, it's one of those kind of movies where it's just kind of a cozy movie for me. I'll put it on if I just need something in the background or, something that's just familiar.
It's your Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. Alright, so the next one is Terry Gilliam's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Now, we have spoken about this is part of an unofficial trilogy that's called the... was it Growing Up trilogy? It's something. It's kind of like the Cornetto trilogy, where it's 3 movies that kind of all have similar, cast and threads and stuff in there that kind of all time together. With the Cornetto, it's the ice cream. This, it's like the 3 films are Time Bandits, which is about childhood, Brazil, which is about young adulthood or getting into the workforce, and then Baron Munchausen, which is about the retirement age, elderly there, and is based off of the Baron Munchausen story, which I've never read, but it is just kind of one of those. If you've seen one of the Terry and Gilliam films, this is very in that similar vein where it's just epic fantasy, random interactions, very Monty Python-esque, both in comedy style and, of course, cast members. There's a lot of Terry Gilliam himself was part of the Monty Python cast, but you got people like Eric Idle and such in here, but it's not a full-on comedy like something like Monty Python, The Holy Grail. It is more, just an epic adventure film, and it's kind of this John Neville playing Baron Munchausen, telling a story kind of ish of his last adventure before he passes away there, and how he's getting this whole gang of superheroes basically that he used to work with together. And it's kind of just going back to 5,000 Fingers. It's like big set piece after big set piece. This is the weird one where it's got some American actors in there that one is very young, starting off as a very young Uma Thurman, and then Robin Williams shows up. But he's going under a surname in this, so Ray Toto, I think, is what he puts in the movie credits. But he is the King of the Moon And it's Robin Williams being Robin Williams. Um, but yeah, I know you were definitely not a fan of this one, but
No.
you haven't been really a fan of any of the Terry Gilliam films I've noticed.
I think I'm just not a fan of his way of storytelling, but also, like, there were moments of this one that were just really uncomfortable. Like, the storyline involving Uma Thurman, that's when I completely noped out of the movie.
That's fair.
Because the age differences were huge, and it was really gross, and I just, no.
Yeah, fair. Adventures of Pinocchio is one that is nostalgic for me. I understand this is probably it's not a bad film. I would say, even as a kid, I did find parts of it boring. Jim Henson puppetry, of course, is top notch for the Pinocchio puppet and all the other creatures in there. And Martin Landau probably is the best version of Geppetto we've ever gotten, in my opinion. He plays it perfectly there. And then, of course, we got Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Pinocchio, which, I mean, he's fine as Pinocchio there. The weird part that is for me is, like, okay, you get pretty much everything else book accurate except for the two cats, or was the cat and the fox, where it's played by humans. They're just humans. They kind of have, like, I think Rob Schneider has, like, cat ears, but they're not really acting like cats or animals, which again is weird because you have everything else being very accurate to what it looks like there. I mean, and this is like the most traumatizing donkey transformation. Like, yeah, Disney did it, but I think this did it better as form of, like, what the hell is going on kind of thing there. But I mean, it's the Pinocchio story to a T. The only other thing that's kind of is the Cricket, who in this he's not Jiminy Cricket because that's copyright thing. I think in this he's just called something else. But he's CGI, and it's not aged the best because this is like mid-90s CGI. But if you can get over that, it's fine. There, I've shown you this, and you said you don't remember watching it, right?
Yeah, it's not one that I really remember, but also, I'm just one of those people of the mind where Pinocchio really, for me, only works as an animated movie. Like, anytime I've seen any kind of live-action iteration of it, it just doesn't work for me. So, I couldn't get into it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Big is a classic. It's the Tom Hanks film about him wishing he was an adult, and then he wakes up and he's an adult. He's Tom Hanks, and he gets a job at a toy company, and he helps, like, with making. But it's interesting. The toy he's, like, basically trying to show off and invent is what would eventually become, like, the LeapPad VTech stuff. Like, this is the 80s, so whoever thought of that was, like, leaps and bounds ahead of the curve on, actual products that would come out. They do show, like, some, like, Transformers type of stuff as well, but I'm like, I was always interesting seeing, when he's with Elizabeth Perkins there, and he's trying to, explain the toys wanting to design it. He's like, and it's got books, and you put a book in there, and it tells it, you can flip it and it'll read it to you, and it'll do this and that. I'm just like, that's a leapfrog. That's a LeapPad there. That's VTech. That's something that will come out, a decade and a half later. But yeah, and then, he eventually finds that being an adult is hard, and he wants to be a kid again, and he eventually becomes a kid. And yeah, it's got the big famous piano scene in it by, what is the toy company? It's still around. It's Schwartz? Is that the name of the company? They still sell
the FAO Schwartz.
FAO Schwartz. It's it's in there. That's why you still see them selling those giant pianos because of this. Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There is the weird scene with the him and Elizabeth Perkins hooking up. She doesn't know until the very end of the film, of course, that he is a kid, or even, towards the third act, that he even explains what's going on. She just thinks he's a really nice dude, and he's at a point an adult body, so yeah, he's gonna do that. And it gets weird, and it's that part of the movie does not aged very well.
It's aged like 10-year-old milk.
Yeah, but it is, in my opinion, still a classic movie. And I still enjoy watching it and stuff. I know that's kind of where you noped out on the film.
Look, if a movie has a storyline where it even slightly hints at inappropriate adult-child relations, I'm immediately not interested. I can't.
Very triggering.
It makes me want to vomit. So I spent the majority of that movie wishing I had not eaten dinner. The only scene in the movie that I like is the giant piano scene. Everything else, I'm just like, throw it away. Just throw it away. And I love Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks movies. This one needs to be burned.
Alright. Next is The Borrowers. Which is kind of funny when this is coming out, because, Nostalgia Critic just did a review on this, last week. So, I was like, this is just coincidence here. But, okay, so The Borrowers is the 90s version based on the book series of the same name. This isn't the first iteration of it being on film. It was, I think previously they did a film of it, in the 80s. And I know in the 70s they did a mini-series or a television show. It's been adapted a couple times before and after this. Most people younger than me probably equate The Borrowers to Studio Ghibli's Secret World of Arrietty. Same story. Same characters. You got Arrietty in here. This is just the 90s live-action version with John Goodman as the villain. You also got half the Harry Potter cast in here somehow, because you got Jim Broadbent, Tom Felton, and you've got also Hugh Laurie in here, Bradley Pierce, Mark Williams. It's just like hey, wait a second. But yeah, and it is great. Honestly, I just gotta say, just check out Nostalgia Critic's review, because he kind of goes over it on detail, and I agree with him, especially the part where it's all these giant sets that they go into meticulous detail to make them look as accurate as possible for, what, a mouse-size human would see and use, and it's all the little details, the credit card doors and the even down to what they're wearing is is gloves and it's the rubber little bumps and stuff from kitchenware and stuff. It's just all there in very, very great detail. And for this being a kids film, usually they didn't go that into it, at least not in live action. Animated, yeah, sure, they do this all day long, but they kind of would have cheapened out for the most part. But in the 90s, they're let's just, go full on in and let's make this the best version of Borrowers that you can do for the time. And it holds up pretty well, because of how well the sets are and how well, the cast is there. I did show you this one just kind of recently.
Yeah,
there.
So this isn't one of those movies where I have anything against it, I hate it or anything. It's just, it's really calm for me. So it instantly puts me in a nap mood. So it's just because it's so calm. And that's not to say there's nothing that happens in this movie. It is
It's very
exciting.
action-packed.
It's action packed. It is exciting for a child, but it's also just really comfortable. And just like the storyline for The Borrower's Secret World of Arrietty, that type of story has always like just made me ready to go take a nap. So it's just like something triggers in my mind and I go to sleep. It's nothing against the cast, it's nothing against the writing, it's nothing against the sets, it's all really well done. My brain just goes, oh, nap time. And I love this cast. Like, pretty much everybody in this cast is someone I honestly enjoy watching. Especially, you know, John Goodman, Hugh Laurie, Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jim Broadbent.
Yeah.
Because, you know...
Slugworth.
No, that's not even the role I was going for.
Oh, really?
No.
Who are you
Moulin Rouge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Clash of the Titans is this is the original one that came out in the 1980s, created by the late great Harryhausen with the stop motion there, and yeah, it is just kind of taking a good bit of Greek mythology and kind of mashing some stories together there. It has got just a lot of big names from the 80s in there. You've got Laurence Olivier as Zeus, you've got Maggie Smith as Thetis, and then you've got like Susan Fleetwood is in this, and just a bunch of other people that, like, Burgess Meredith is in this. Just looking down the cast list, I'm like, dang. And yeah, it is just, you know, the story of, is basically the Hercules story somewhat there. He's got to fight the Titans, and he you know, goes up and he does all these different quests and stuff. And this is also off the coattails of Star Wars, so we have, I think his name is Beepo. It's the little mechanical owl that's just there because robots were a thing, and R2-D2 was big, so they're like, we need our R2-D2, so we're going to have a little mechanical owl that basically talks like R2-D2 there, and is like my favorite character. And when they did the remake, and they just kind of showed him once, and they're like, oh, we don't need him, and they threw him back away, I was like, I hate this movie.
Fair.
But, yeah, but it's like, this is the one with the just famous scene with the release the Kraken. This has the Kraken in there, and the stop motion is just so. I mean, it's freaking Ray Harryhausen and his team there, and when this was like at his peak, this was like, I think, his last film he did there, one of his last films he did. So his expertise was like the top. He would only be matched by I forget his name, but he's the guy that did all the stop motion for Star Wars. That most people would know his name because in Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park was originally going to be stop motion as well, but then CGI came along, but they still had him on board, and he's like the person. His like name, when his name shows up in the credits, he's like the dinosaur knowledge or whatever, and there's a bunch of memes about like, oh, this guy failed his job because he got the dinosaurs were released. It's him, and his name is just blanking, but it's that, and they released this movie that he was working on 20 something years or whatever, and it just came out like a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's like, that's the only person that I would put on par with Ray Harryhausen in regards to stop motion animation. Just like, he was the king of it, and like, he got it so down in movement and stuff that it looked lifelike. This is like, you know, way before CGI would even be able to recreate stuff like this. So they had to do stop motion to do any sort of fantasy creatures, and he did just a crap ton of movies, and this was like the biggest one that people like know him for. But yeah, it's a great film. It's a classic. Go and check it out. What were your thoughts?
I love this. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of like Ray Harryhausen because you show me a couple of his, and normally I just don't get into it. But The mechanical owl is so freaking cute. You give me like a cute little side animal, and I am immediately in love.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
That's another way to get me to watch something. Hands down, is just like, oh, Maggie Smith is in it. I don't care. Sit me down. Put it on. I'm good. Let's go. I love her. So I watched this a couple times growing up. This was my first exposure to Maggie Smith, which made it even more fun when stuff like, Harry Potter came out. I was already reading the books, and then, in the trailers, they show McGonagall, and my little kid brain went, I know her. And then, like, Divine Sisterhood comes out. Downton Abbey comes out. I'm just like, just goes back to when I was little and seeing Clash of the Titans for the first time, and I'll watch anything with this woman in it.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. I'll let you, since I've been starting off a lot of these films, I'll let you start this next one off. Because it's the Dark Crystal.
It is the Dark Crystal. But you summarize things better than me, so please do your summary.
Okay. So Dark Crystal is Jim Henson's big epic fantasy where he didn't want any human actors in it. It is all puppets. It is like, when I say Clash of the Titans was the peak of excellence for Ray Harryhausen, in my opinion, the Dark Crystal is the peak excellence of Jim Henson.
I agree.
It is what he and his company could do at the best that they could with all the technology that they had figured out how to do over the past 30 odd plus years of doing, from Sam and Friends and the Muppet Show to all the stuff in between, and then the Dark Crystal, and then of course it bombed, but and he lived to right when the Dark Crystal was starting to become a cult classic. Like he was starting to see this, as well as the other film that we'll get to in a little bit. He was starting to understand that it didn't do well, but it was starting to do well in rentals and starting to gain the notoriety that it is today as this giant, epic Muppet film. And I say Muppets because the creatures are, it is technically the Creature Workshop there, but they're still
Muppets.
They're still Muppets. You're not going to have any like big name actors in this. All the characters are voiced by people that just work with Jim. So you've got Jim Henson, you've got Dave Goelz, you got Frank Oz, you got Steve Whitmire, just all Catherine Mullen, all those people who you would know from Fraggle Rock and the Muppet Show and this, that, and the other, doing these just dark wizardry thing. And the story is, at one time, this world lived in peace and harmony, but then the crystal fractured, and you've got the Skeksis being the villains, and I forget what the bigger creatures are called, but you got the other creatures that are the good guys, and then you've got the Gelflings, and it's up to I believe it's Jin is his name, the male Gelfling, that has to go on this epic journey to find the crystal shard and repair the Dark Crystal. And through it he meets Kira and Fezzik and all these other great creatures that we've come to know and love from years of this movie being shown on television and specials, and eventually we get the Netflix prequel show, and so it's like one of the best fantasy films ever made, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
I do love this one. I grew up watching this one. I'm not as good with remembering explicit plot points as you are, but I do remember watching this all the freaking time and being a little scared every single time.
Oh yeah.
It's a good little thriller for kids.
Yeah, it's one of those films that keeps showing up on a bunch of traumatizing kids films lists. I honestly don't count this as a kids film. It's just I would say it's probably a family film, but it's just a fantasy film. But if I think kids film, I'm not thinking Dark Crystal. I'm thinking like if we were saying Jim Henson, I would think the Muppet movie or something like that. And I really wouldn't put the Dark Crystal and the Muppet movie in the same category there.
But unfortunately, people just correlate family films with kids' films.
Yeah.
Because it technically is safe for kids to watch. But for me, the difference is it's a family film if everybody can get something from it. It's a kids' film if the parents are really just putting it on to get the kid to leave them alone.
Exactly. I agree. So, alright. I'll let you start this one off. Because you really like this one.
I do really like this one. It's Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I am not a Dungeons & Dragons person, so I don't really know all the specifics of what every character is supposed to be. I just know every character did a fantastic job. So it really is this band of thieves and outcasts that are getting together, and they're... Oh, shoot. This is why you do the summaries, because my brain goes blank. They're getting together. They're trying to save Chris Pine's character's daughter. They're shoot, I'm sorry.
You say you watch this movie all the time.
I do. Here's the thing. Anytime I go to try to describe something, my brain just goes blank.
So this is the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. You got Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Ray John Page, Justice Smith, and Daisy Head, along with other characters. They're on this epic quest. Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez just recently broke out of prison, and they're trying to save Chris Pine's daughter. Or he doesn't really know that his daughter needs to be saving. He just knows he's out of prison. So he promised that once he got out of the prison and got the money, he would go back to Hugh Grant's character, who was taking care of her and like, hey, thank you for being the uncle and taking care of her while I'm off adventuring and getting money and stuff. But now that I have money, I'm gonna take her back. What he doesn't know is that Hugh Grant's character is kind of in cahoots with I believe it's Sophia Lillis's character. No, not Sophia Lillis's. It's Daisy Head. Sophia Lillis is part of the group. But Daisy Head's character is like this, basically a warlock, evil wizard thing that just wants to take control of everything, because that's what evil wizards do. And Hugh Grant is just kind of there because he's like money, because Hugh Grant is just money.
He does sleazy really well.
He's very sleazy. So yeah, on the way they're just like they meet up with other people that they were on their troop originally, and some are they just like, we just need this person because you know how to do this one exact thing, and they just become this little band of misfits going on adventuring, and they gotta defeat dragons and get into this castle, without being making guards and stuff aware. And then while they're going to get the daughter, they come across, what's actually going on. So they decide to try to rescue everybody, but then they end up being in this, basically, type of trial of surviving games there, and they gotta use their heads and think together to win, and then it all works out for everybody, and, the bad guy dies, and the good guy's winning, and stuff. And it's a comedy romp. And as Shelby said, she's not into Dungeons & Dragons. I'm not really much keen of it either. So while I do recognize, Chris Pine is a bard, Michelle Rodriguez is a barbarian, I believe, and everybody's, a magic, a wizard, a warlock and stuff like that. That's about as far, and I understand, I know what some of their characters are, and I did see the original cartoon, so when the main cast from the cartoon show up, I'm like, hey, that's cool that they get that little nod in there. So, yeah, there's that.
I didn't know there was a cartoon.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the cartoon. What convinced me to watch this movie was honestly the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, Chris Pine shows up, he's another one of those actors I'll watch almost anything with him in it because I just really enjoy Chris Pine.
He wasn't the main pull for you.
Oh no. I am a Bridgerton girly. I did go see this for the Duke.
And then you guys don't know who the Duke is, it's
Regé-Jean Page.
Yeah. Very nice looking fella.
He is a very nice looking fella, and he's only in it for like 5 minutes, and I wasn't even disappointed. I was like, okay, he was only in it for like a total of 5 minutes worth of screen time.
He's about in it for about 10, 20 minutes. For the part where they have to go and
he's there for
the dragon.
He's there for just the amount of time that you need him for.
The dragon is so chubby.
Oh, he's so cute. I wanted one so bad.
You wanted him and you wanted Owlbear.
Oh, yeah, I want an Owlbear. But all the Owlbear toys that came out after the movie came out were kind of ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie itself is just really cute. I just have a bad brain that doesn't like to remember things. It could be my favorite movie in the world and I'll forget major plot points. But that makes rewatching the movies fun.
I married Dory, people.
Look, we've seen so many of them that my brain just kind of like does a hard reset once a month.
And mine's just like, you have 1 trillion terabytes of memory and you're only 8% full.
I have
Go ahead.
2 gigabytes of memory. That's it. But yeah, everyone was really good. I knew as soon as I saw Hugh Grant he was going to be some kind of a villain in this because he's just been having a lot of fun doing these bad guy characters.
Especially in Paddington.
Oh my goodness. And Hugh Grant's another one of those actors where I'll watch almost anything with him in it because he's just so fun to watch. Like, yeah, he might not be the best dude. He's made some dumb decisions. But he's so fun to watch.
Alright, so next is Edward Scissorhands, which is probably the most Tim Burton-iest Tim Burton film. There it has a youngish Johnny Depp playing as the titular character. There he is basically like a Frankenstein type character created by the late great Vincent Price. This was Vincent Price's last film before he passed away. He passed away during production, I believe, of this. So he was you can tell he was very frail in the scenes that he was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Diane West's character, who is just kind of this door-to-door saleswoman for insert. I want to say
it was Avon.
Avon. So she's a Avon seller, and she basically adopts Johnny Depp's Edward Scissorhands character there, and yeah, it's just the rest of it is just kind of a weird character in suburban life, and you got Winona Ryder as the older daughter, and where's the Anthony Michael Hall as that's the
boyfriend.
Where's the dad? Alan Arkin as the dad, and this is just kind of funny. The family just outside of Winona Ryder's character pretty much accepts him automatically, and then the rest of the community eventually accepts him because he can. First he knows how to do like the trim the hedges, but then after that he starts trimming dogs, and then eventually he goes to just doing hair care, and yeah, it's just kind of and of course there's the villain, which is the bully, and also Winona Ryder's boyfriend that gets jealous and gets him in trouble, and then the whole town turns against him, and then it all ends kind of sad-ish.
It's kind of a Frankenstein kind of story.
Yeah, it is very Frankenstein story. But it's a nice, fun, chill movie. What are your thoughts? Because I know you said this is your favorite film.
This is my favorite Tim Burton film.
Burton film. Okay.
Again, it's probably just because it has that like kind of girlish, whimsical feeling to it, which is similar to like a lot of my other like period pieces that I really like. Even though this isn't a period piece,
no,
it just kind of has that same feel, that same kind of like whimsy that a lot of them do.
To be fair, one of your other period pieces does have Winona Ryder in it.
Yeah. I'm also just a big Winona Ryder fan.
Yeah.
She's the way you got me to watch Stranger Things, is you went Winona Ryder's in. I was like, okay, I'll
She's
give
the
it a
mom.
try. I'll give it a try. But yeah, this is my favorite of the Tim Burton films. Probably because it's calmer than most of the Tim Burton films.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as zany. It's not as, like, kind of crazy. The performances are a little more understated. Like, there are,
There's
like big,
Christian,
bright colors.
And there's the Christian Bible thumping
Yeah.
lady.
But to be honest, we live in the South, and we've seen people like that in actual life, so that
Yeah.
wasn't even crazy to me.
Nah. But the performance-wise, I'm like, that's really the only over-the-top acting I can think of.
Yeah, it's the only...
And some of Winona's character when she's, like, first meeting Edward, but,
To be fair, you meet a dude with scissors for fingers.
in your bed.
In your bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was over the top, but it wasn't understandable over the top.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that scene and go, oh, she's just overacting here. You go,
No.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I would do the same
That's
thing.
an appropriate reaction.
That's an appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just also another one of those, like, really good, just, like, calming movies if you're having a rough day.
Yeah.
And you just want to zone out. This is a really good zone out movie.
Mm-hmm. The next one you are going to have to explain, because I have only seen this film maybe twice. And I don't even think I've seen the film all the way through.
Okay. So the next one is Ella Enchanted. It is essentially a Cinderella story.
Okay.
But instead of her feeling like she has to obey her stepmother because that's what society tells her, it's a literal spell. It's the gift of obedience that the fairy godmother gave her as a baby, so she has no choice but to obey what people
Which
tell
is like
her
the
to.
dumbest. But I think I remember the fairy godmother's like not the smartest.
Yeah, she's not.
But like that's like
she's-
the dumbest thing
Yeah.
to ever give a kid.
So it was like the gift of obedience is what the fairy godmother gave her. Ella goes and tries to find the fairy godmother to get the gift taken from her because she was told that she would have to kill the prince by the prince's uncle. And this is probably a little bit out of order, but that's the gist of it. She's, trying to get the gift taken away. She finds the fairy godmother, and the fairy godmother's just like, take it away yourself. She's, like, really proud about it. She doesn't feel like she needs to take it away. She's like, I gave you a gift. I don't know why you're complaining about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The movie itself is really silly. It's really girly. It's really silly.
Now, is this based on a book or is this an original?
It is based off a book.
Okay. Did you read the book?
I did not read the book.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I just saw the movie.
Okay, me same here.
But like Eric Idle is the narrator for it. So there's always like a little familiar voice. If you grew up with any like Monty Python, you'll clock that.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway is Ella. Hugh Dancy is Char. Carrie Ells is the evil uncle. And we'll get back to that actor later in this video.
Yeah.
So it's got like a really, really stacked cast and everything's done really well. There's a random music number in the middle of it.
I do remember the music number because is it the trolls or the giants that want her?
They're with the giants.
And they tell her to sing, so she sings
Somebody to
Love. That I remember.
It's a really cute scene. It kind of makes me think of the scene in Ever After where they're hanging out with the thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like that kind of chill moment between her and the prince. It's kind of the same vibes.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I don't have any much thoughts on this one because, as I said, I never saw I don't think I've ever seen the full film. If I have, I don't really remember it other than like, Anne Hathaway being a good actor, her singing with the giants, the whole, I do remember the fairy godmother being drunk or something. She was acting just kind of aloof. And also, there was a guy that was cursed to be in a storybook.
Yes.
So it was just his head.
So the like household fairy accidentally magicked her boyfriend into a magic book.
Okay.
So it was accidental magic. That part always like made me chuckle. But yeah, like the whole like thing, she like locked herself up so that she wouldn't be able to kill the prince. And that's when like the fairy godmother shows up and is just like, I gave you the gift. Here, take the. She like got her out of the chains and was like, take the gift away yourself. And all she had to do was command herself to not have to follow orders.
Yeah.
That's how she got out of it. She's looking in a mirror while holding a dagger because they're in like a room full of mirrors and the prince is proposing. And she commands herself to not follow orders as she's holding a dagger, like about to stab him.
I feel like this is like, from what I remember, because it's more coming back, this is like the best film that like, outside of like another film that we'll talk about eventually during this genre, this is one of those where it's just like, if you remake it with the Muppets. Because I'm just like, it's a very Muppety type of style of film there, just based off of the hijinks and stuff. I'm just like...
It's very hijinks heavy.
Yeah, it's just like, I just feel like this would have been a good Muppet film.
This is one of those I remember watching like with my little cousin a lot when she was like little.
Mm-hmm.
Because she liked princess stories, but she wasn't super big on like all the specific Disney ones. So I was constantly trying to find different princess movies that weren't just straight up Disney movies.
Mm.
Or like the Disney animated movies, because she liked seeing the different takes on them when she was little.
Gotcha. So next is two films. It's Hellboy 1 and 2, and I'm merging them together because like, but they're both great films. They're both directed by Guillermo del Toro. Both have Ron Perlman as Hellboy. You got John Hurt as basically the dad. Selma Blair as Liz Sherman. And it's the Hellboy is this creature from hell that gets adopted during World War II, I believe. And in the first one, I believe it's just people trying to steal him to bring about the apocalypse and such. And then the second one has to do with the Golden Army. So they go into like this underground fairy kingdom, and it's like so cool. It's like this is like the closest we'll get to like Dark Crystal kind of looking stuff, because the Golden Army, the town, the fairy or the underground town where it's just a bunch of other creatures there. They're very Jim Henson-esque. I don't know if Jim Henson's Creature Shop worked on this film, but if they did, you could definitely tell. But yeah, they're just great fantasy action films. They are based on comics of the same name. I think Ron Perlman is probably the perfect. I know eventually other people would take up the mantle of Hellboy, and no knocking to
David Harbour.
Yeah, David Harbour. But Ron Perlman, I think, is like the perfect casting for this guy. There, it's kind of like some of the other superheroes, where it's just like once you get that, anybody else is just going to be like, okay. You've seen these films, or at least the first one.
I've seen both of them like twice.
Mm-hmm.
And both times they were on FX, so there were commercials.
Oh, yeah. FX used to play these all the time.
So I don't remember much about them. I do remember really liking Selma Blair, but again, I just like Selma Blair.
Yeah.
She's fun to watch.
She is.
I do agree, Ron Perlman is like the perfect casting for Hellboy. In fact, anytime someone brings up anything about Hellboy, the only thing I see is Ron Perlman.
Right.
And we've had a more recent Hellboy movie, and I still associate Ron Perlman.
We had two recent Hellboy movies since this one came out. This was supposed to be a trilogy, and then Golden Army didn't do that well, I believe. So the third one never got made, because the ending kind of sets up for a sequel in more ways than one there, and that just never pays off. And they've rebooted it and done an animated version, and yeah.
But I remember them being enjoyable. I just don't remember much of them because, again, it's been like 15-ish years since I've watched either one. I know we own them. We just haven't rewatched them together since. Or if we did, you showed them to me after work one day, and I was exhausted and I fell asleep.
All right. Hook is...
This is all you, because I don't like Hook.
I love Hook. I love Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. I love Robin Williams as Peter Pan, a.k.a. Peter Banning. Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, I could give or take. She's kind of the low point of the film, in my opinion. Bob Hoskins as Smee is the best fucking Smee we've ever gotten. Of course, you got Maggie Smith as Wendy.
It's the only thing I like is Maggie Smith. Throw the whole rest of the movie away.
And of course, you got... Let's scroll down a little bit. You've got Dante Bosco, a.k.a. my freaking Zuko himself, as Rufio. And yeah, is the story of Peter Pan, left Neverland and grew up and forgot about Neverland. But then in the middle of the night, Hook comes and kidnaps Peter's children. So he has to go and rescue them, and he goes and meets the Lost Boys that are still the Lost Boys from, back when he was there last time. They're all new Lost Boys because everybody else did come back and also grew up. But Wendy remembers, and, eventually Peter remembers, and he gets his powers back, and is just a fun Steven Spielberg adventure film. And why don't you like this film?
Okay, so I've noticed with myself that I'm just not a huge fan of the Peter Pan story. And I 100% think it's because I'm the oldest and only girl of 4 kids. So, it was me and then 3 brothers. And a lot of the time growing up, I got told, you're the oldest, so take care of it. And my brothers would get to just do whatever. So the whole Lost Boy, no responsibility thing just irritates me.
Okay.
The only version of Peter Pan I like is the one with Jason Isaacs in it.
And we'll get to that eventually. But not this video.
No.
Moving on to another Robin Williams film.
I do love this one.
Jumanji.
Freaking love this.
This was a childhood staple for me. We got this on VHS when it released back in 1995. My sister was like a baby, but I still remember seeing this for the first time. We bought it the day it came out, and I just remember being creeped out, but also like really intrigued, and like I would watch this film hundreds of times since. I can't really quote it, but I do remember the entire movie, and it's great. So you got the story. If you've never heard of the original Jumanji and you just know of the later movies with Jack Black and stuff in them, this is the original one. This is, by the way, Jumanji, just like in general, is based off of a book of the same name. Now, what's interesting is this, I forget the guy's name there, but the book, Jumanji, is like one of like 3 books that have all been made into films, and there's 2 of them that are sequels. So the first book is Jumanji. It is about a board game that when you roll the dice and you move the pieces, whatever shows up in like the little glass ball kind of thing in the middle, that's what happens. Monkeys are going to come out, lions, stampedes, a whole bunch of random stuff happens. In the second book, the board game has a backside. So in the movie, it's just the board game itself is just the one wooden it triptych. Open the panels and it's just the one. But actually, in the book, it is a 2-sided board game. So on the other side of Jumanji is the same game, but it's space themed, and it's called Zathura. And it's the same story. It's you roll the dice, you move in, and whatever happens on the board happens in real life. You got to make it to the end of the game. And then he wrote a third book. He's written many books, but there's 3 of them that have been made into films, very iconic films. in my opinion. So the third one is the Christmas book, and it's called The Polar Express. So Jumanji's the third and Polar Express are all by the same author. Going back to the movie, this is, the book is a children's book, so they kind of just get the basic idea and just run with it. And really, it's just Robin Williams as Ellen Parrish and Bonnie Hunt as Sarah Whittle are in the, I think they're in the 70s or 60s in the original film. In the original timeline, he finds the board, they play it one night, he gets sucked in, and Sarah just runs away. And then we fast forward to the 90s, which is present day, and Kirsten Dunst and Bradley Pierce move into the house, and they hear the way you hear the board game is it's got a very jungle beat to it. And you get to it, and they play it. Alan's and Betty's Sarah's pieces are still there, but they have new pieces, and they play it, and then they roll it, and Robin's character comes back. He's an adult now, and yeah, that's where the line, "What year is it?" That's this movie, and they find Bonnie's character and they play the game, and it's just like every time they roll, more stuff happens until it's like the house is in disarray. There's a freaking tsunami happening. You've got lions and you got monkeys and pretty much all the other jungle characters. The dad, played by Jonathan Hyde, plays two characters. He plays Alan's dad in the original timeline. He's also the hunter, Van Pelt, in the board game, and he's hunting Alan. Why, they never really say. That's just, I'm guessing it's like an ode to the perfect game kind of
Probably.
story there. Anyways, but yeah, so, and then, eventually, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but they do finish the board game there. And it's great. It's got a lot of special effects. Most of them are practical effects, so they do pretty well. And then you got some CGI, because this is the mid-90s. That doesn't really age that well.
But it adds to the charm.
Specifically the monkeys. Yeah, it adds to the charm. And interesting enough, they did get the monkeys to look more like how they look in the book than how monkeys look like in real life. So that's kind of why they have a weird, uncanny look to them. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Jumanji?
So this movie is fun just from start to finish, but we're sitting here looking at the IMDb. And I did not know until right this second that young Sarah, Bonnie Hunt's younger counterpart in the movie, is played by Laura Bell Bundy, which, if you're a theater kid, that is Elle Woods. That is the original Elle Woods on Broadway.
Cool.
So that's even a little bit more of love for me now, because I am...
Oh my god, you guys.
Yeah, oh my god, you guys. So that's just even more fun for me, because I love when I find out that people that I love, their stage performances are in movies that I watched growing up, and you don't always clock that when you're little.
Oh no, yeah.
Like, you don't ever clock it when you're little. So that was also part of the fun for me for this now. Growing up, though, I loved Kirsten Dunst. I really enjoyed, I enjoyed a decent amount of Robin Williams, but it was mostly his dramatic stuff. So for Jumanji to kind of be the bridge between the comedic and a little bit of the dramatic is probably why I love it so much. Because I get to laugh at him, but it's not... It hasn't
really
aged
over
like
the top.
But it also isn't one of the ones that has aged like milk. Because a lot of his 90s comedies have not actually aged that well. And it's not his fault, it's the story.
It's the plot. Yeah.
It's the plot. But he's hilarious, and he's a fantastic actor. And then, Jumanji's probably one of my favorite Robin Williams movies.
I'd probably say it's my favorite as well.
I know that's a basic answer, because it's Jumanji, and who doesn't love Jumanji? But it's just it's such a fun ride from start to finish. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of the danger in there to get to get your heart rate going a little, but it's also kooky enough to still be like a good popcorn flick.
I will say, talking about the sequels, I do enjoy them. They are funny. I do wish they did do a little bit more tie-ins to the original story. Like in the first one, we see the little carving of Alan Parrish from where he was there, and by the time the first sequel came out, Robin had unfortunately already passed away. Because I'm sure if he hadn't passed away, he would have been in this in some way or manner there. But I mean, like, the rest of the actors are still alive. Is really nobody said they want to come back and do something in this, especially Kirsten Dunst, because she's still around.
And this is why with the newer ones, like, I know they're sequels, but I look at them more as like a reboot.
Yeah, and they pretty much were.
It's really more of a reboot. It's really more of, hey, we're gonna explore more of this, but not really connect it to what you grew up on.
I do wish, though, like all the other stories, they get sucked into the game and they just kind of play out. Where I would like to see them do another one where they're playing it in the real world, and stuff happens outside. But that's just me.
I think the issue there is the original was a board game, and now they've moved it to video games.
Okay, video game, yeah.
So it makes more sense for them to get sucked in.
But but that still means you could still, not to pull up bad movies, but I'm like, The Rose, I think is what it was called. That was it was a video game. You had to play it till the end, and if bad stuff happened in the video game, bad stuff happened in real life. The acting wasn't great and stuff, but the idea was there. So you can still do it. You just make it like an MMO kind of thing where you can only play it for a certain amount of time a day, or turn it into like an arcade cabinet or something. I don't know. You can figure out something to both modernize it, but also make it so that the stuff happens in the real life. But anyways, I digress.
I will say for the newer ones, the thing that I feel like keeps the spirit of the original the most is pulling in Jack Black. Because it just...
How?
Well, because pulling in Jack Black, for me, anytime I'm watching him, it feels like when I was little and I would watch a Robin Williams film. Like a lot of
I would not put Jack Black and Robin Williams in the same...
For me, they've...
Greatness. No, I'm sorry. Jack Black, cool and all. He has not reached the... He is his own creature. He isn't...
but Robin was also his own creature.
But he's not in the same league as Robin Williams at all, in my opinion.
He's the closest out of the ones that are in the newer ones.
Barely.
We'll agree to disagree.
Alright. Going back to Jim Henson. This is Labyrinth. This is probably the best Jim Henson film ever made.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody that absolutely loves the Muppet movies. But it's David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly and the creature effects. And it's like an Alice in Wonderland kind of adventure. And of course you got David Bowie's music in it as well. On top of him acting and dancing his ass off and his bulge getting bigger in every scene. Literally, that's not even like is it? No, it's
a running joke.
It's a running joke, and it's the reason why the bulge is there, by the way, for those that are like, what's going on there, is like, okay, so he's around puppets all the time, and you're in studios, and their studio lights get hot fast, which means you're sweating and stuff, which means all the puppeteers are at nose level to your crotch area, so you have to put what is it called?
It's a dance cup.
It's not. Well, it is a dance cup, but he's putting it's ambrosia. It's something. Basically it's just to keep the smell away, so you're not smelling sweat and stuff. And he just kept having, for the first time it was just like he just packed enough in there. But Jim Henson thought it was funny, so they're like, let's put a little bit more in there. So it's just, yeah, that's just Jim Henson's sense of humor there. But yeah, Toby played, that is the baby. Toby is played by Toby Froud, which is the son of Brian Froud, who is the creature designer for all the creatures he in this movie. And he was designing these type of creatures back before this movie, and Jim Henson just really liked his art style, and they're like, he got with him and was like, hey, I want to you design creatures for a film. And at that point they didn't even have a script. He's just like, I'm gonna pay you to make, get your best drawings, and just we'll figure out the story later. And he's like, okay, so he just draws like stacks upon stacks of stories, and then they take drawings, and then they take all these drawings to Terry Jones, which is one of the Monty Python people, and they're like, Jim Henson's like, we want you to write the script, make it a bit Monty Python-ish, but we have to have these creatures in them. I will design and we'll puppeteer them and stuff, but like, here's these pictures, put them into the script. So there's interviews out there. Terry Jones is just like, he'll be writing a story and he gets to a writing, a writer's block, and he'll just go back to the pictures and flip through them, and it's just like, he'll pull one out and be like, and then they meet this person. And that's how that happens. And then they brought David Bowie in, because originally, from books I've read on this, I think they originally wanted Sting. Jim Henson wanted Sting, and Jim Henson has, I want to say 5 kids, and like 3 of them were like really into the company and stuff. Like Brian Henson was already doing puppeteering, and his daughters were already doing stuff, and like all 3 of them are like, no, Dad, don't do Sting, get David Bowie. And Jim was like, really? David Bowie? And they're like, dude, yes, get him. Like, if anybody, you have to have David Bowie. And Jim's like, okay, if the kids want me to put David Bowie in this film, I'll get David Bowie.
And that's what makes it iconic.
And like, as soon as they get him, they do a dress rehearsal, and he does them, and David Bowie does the music. Jim is like, okay, yeah, okay, I see it now, I get it. This is, yeah. Again, unfortunately, it didn't do well at the box office. To be fair, this came out in 1986, and it came out like in the summer when like just a bunch of great films came out, because I think it was like, oh goodness, you gotta remember, in the 80s and especially 90s and even 2000s, movies ran longer than just 3 months and then went on streaming. Sometimes movies would be in there for like a whole year or something. But I'm just going to go over, this came out in June of 1986. I'm just going to say what came out between May and around the time the movie came out in June. And just the big ones, because there was a lot, but these are the ones that like also came out during that time. So starting in May, we had Critters, we had Short Circuit, Top Gun, Poltergeist 2, My Little Pony the movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Back to School, The Manhattan Project, Mona Lisa, The Karate Kid Part 2, and even after that, in July, we had stuff like Big Trouble in Little China, The Great Mouse Detective, Psycho 3, Howling 2, Aliens, Maximum Overdrive, The Patriot, the Robotech movie, and so yeah, Flight of the Navigator was a little later. So yeah, it just kind of got swamped with movies coming out. Plus, at that time, high fantasy, musical, heavy creature effect wasn't something people were really going out in waves to go see. There was David Bowie, but like it was not like, I don't even think this movie would be doing well nowadays, kind of thing. It is really just kind of a niche genre in general. But yeah. So the main plot is Jennifer just does not feel like she's being taken seriously at home, and her parents just want her to babysit her baby a brother, and so she just is very into Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff there, and is like just reads it like she just wishes that the Goblin King will take her brother away. And then David Bowie's like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And she's like, no, I didn't really mean that. And he's like, well, if you didn't really mean it, then why did you say that you wish that I would do it? And she's just like, well, can't you bring him back in? He's like, here, let's do this. You go through my maze and find your brother. And if you find him within, a certain amount of hours, you win. If not, he gets turned into one of my trolls. And she's like, no, that's not fair. And he's just like, well, life's not fair, so get used to it. And so she has to go through it. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? The coming of age type of thing. And she meets Hoggle and a bunch of other creatures, Ludo, and Didymus and everybody, and the worm. And she eventually, by the end of it, she's like, all right, I get it. And, Dave Bowie's like, yeah, you win. And also he's defeated, but kind of not really. Because it's David Bowie. And so, yeah. And it's Jennifer Connelly. This was like it wasn't her first role, but it was one of her big...
It was an early one.
One of her early big roles, and Jim's just like, yeah, she's cool. And so, this is just a great fantasy film. Of course, it's got some iconic songs. You've got Dance Magic is probably the biggest one, but you also got Chilly Down. You've got, I forget the name of it, but it's the ballroom scene one, and yeah, it's just all these wonderful David Bowie songs. And of course, like Dark Crystal, you've got Jim Henson's Creature Effects, and yeah, I believe this came out before the Dark Crystal, but it's still peak. This is all the cool wizardry puppetry they could do at the time. Now, I can't say there's no CGI, because there was actually some CGI. So in the beginning of the movie, there's an owl. And this is the first time that a computer-generated animal was used in a film, which is that owl. Jim Henson was actually really into CGI as soon as it came on the scene. And he really tried to start using it in films. He saw what would eventually be like. He's like, yeah, this is gonna like change the entire scene. He saw this being what it is used for now, way back in the 80s, way back when people were still like doubting, saying Tron looked like crap, and saying CGI is just a fad. No, Jim was like, no, this is gonna like, just once everybody figures stuff out, this is gonna be all to use. And he tried to pivot towards that very quickly, and it shows in like this, and some in Dark Crystal, and of course his show, The Jim Henson Hour, and everything else after it. I mean, heck, even the Disney, the last thing he worked on, which was the Muppets in 3D in Walt Disney, that had Waldo, which was like the first CGI puppet there, and that was his whole thing that he wanted to do, was CGI puppets. So, and they do that nowadays with like Sid the Science Kid and the Bubbles and stuff. That is the brainchild of Jim. So yeah, going back to Labyrinth, your thoughts?
Oh, this is this is my favorite of the Jim Henson Muppet movies. A big part of it is because of the soundtrack.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Absolutely love that soundtrack. You want to find a theater kid within 5 miles of you, just say you remind me of the Babe.
Mm-hmm.
They'll all pop up.
Yeah.
Knowing this from experience. the soundtrack is a huge, huge thing for me. I absolutely love it. I listen to it multiple times a year. Um, Surprisingly, really good soundtrack for the gym. Like if you're just having a little bit of a chiller day, you're not trying to go full out. It's nice, chill one to listen to. The storyline for it's really fun. Like this is definitely one of those like fun adventure films with just enough danger in it to kind of keep you into it.
So this is one I actually would. It's still a family film, but like
It's kids
this
film.
is more kid centric to whereas Dark Crystal, I'm like our niece, I would not show Dark Crystal to.
No.
But I would show her this.
I think she would love this. I think her favorite scene though would be the ballroom scene
sure,
because
yeah.
that is that baby is a girly girl.
Yeah. That and those are just gorgeous costumes
oh my goodness,
in general.
yes.
I've seen them in person and dang.
But yeah, this is definitely one of those. It's more kid oriented. I remember growing up on this one. I think we watched this in Dark Crystal about the same amount. And that's because my mother is a child of the 80s. So
And usually, like, when they get released on DVD, these come as a
set
pack. You get this, it'll be like a double feature DVD set. You get this and Dark Crystal at the same time. Sometimes they'll do a triple feature and put in Mirror Mask, which is the third fantasy Jim Henson film, but that was made years later.
yeah.
Yeah. So I can see
But
these.
I understand why they're usually double feature because the vibes are similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're within the same family.
Yeah.
But I would say distant cousins. But yeah, it's just a really, really fun movie. I would say if you have a kid who isn't as into, like if they're not a Cartoon Network kid, they're more of a Disney kid, Labyrinth will be more for them than Dark Crystal is. Because Dark Crystal's a little more intense.
Yeah.
It's a little more questionable on content for younger kids.
Yeah.
But Labyrinth is kind of like your intro to Muppet Fantasy.
That is true. Yeah.
That's not the Muppets.
Yeah. A series of unfortunate events. This is the film with Jim Carrey in it as Count Olaf. And I will be honest, I didn't grow up with the books. I still haven't read the books. I do know there is a lot of them. I think there's somewhere between 12 or 15 of these films. Books. They're really, really thin books. They're not like Harry Potter or anything like that where they're like nice chunks. They're only like probably 120, 150 pages a piece from what I've seen there. And they were coming out fairly regularly. I do remember seeing posters at libraries and stuff all the time, and there was always a new one coming out. And so they're all kind of like vignettes of like these orphan kids that are just trying to find a better life, and Count Olaf just keeps coming in as different disguises and messing. It is a series of unfortunate events, and the movie, I want to say, probably meshes a good like 5 or 6 of them together. I do know eventually we did get the Netflix series that kind of just did an entire series just based off of each of the books, and each episode was kind of like a book and episode kind of thing, which I think probably works better. But this was 2000, so we didn't really do that yet. But it was okay. It was an okay film for me. It was an awakening for me with Emily Browning's character as Violet. It was like this and Scooby-Doo Witch's Ghost. I'm like, I like goth girls. That's my type. But it's Jim Carrey is of course the big player here, and of course he's bringing his Jim Carrey energy as a villain to this perfectly. You also got, as I said, you got Liam Aiken and Emily Browning, and as the two eldest of the 3 kids. They're pretty well for them. I don't think either one of them ever went on to do anything else.
Emily Browning, I remember her going on, I think she was in Sucker Punch.
Okay. I saw that film once.
Yeah.
There is Jude Law that is Lemony Snicket is the narrator. There, you never see his face. He never interacts with the kids or anything. He's telling the story.
The man has a voice like butter,
He
so
does.
it works.
It does. And then you've got a whole bunch of people showing up in this. You got Catherine O'Hara, you got Timothy Spall, Billy Connolly, Meryl Streep, Luis Guzman, Craig Ferguson, Jennifer Coolidge. It's just Cedric the Entertainer. It's just a bunch of people show up in this as the characters they meet along the way, as the distant relatives type of thing. Each one kookier than the next, except for Billy Connolly. He's like even though he's like eccentric, because
he's the most normal.
He's the most normal one, and this was like the closest one. They're like, oh, you think it's gonna be a happy ending, but no, it's Jim Carrey, Count Olaf comes in and screws it up. But he is the calm in the movie for a little bit, because this is like after they already had dealt with like Meryl Streep's character, and before they dealt with Count Olaf in general. They did with Billy Connolly, and he's just an eccentric person that likes to collect a bunch of reptiles and stuff, but he's just a really nice and sweet person there, and
he genuinely just wanted to take care of them.
Yeah. Because he was like, I think he was like, from what I recall, he was like one of the closer family members that like, I think was like an actual uncle or something. So he like actually knew the kids and was aware of the parents and knew history and stuff, whereas the other people were more distant and just kind of in their own world there. And Billy Connolly's character, as Uncle Monty, he is also sort of in his own world there, so he doesn't like get the danger red flags that Count Olaf's disguise is throwing at him until it's too late. But yeah, it's a fine.
It's fun.
Nickelodeon film.
Yeah, it's just a fun little. I would describe this as a kids film. This is a put it on so that they're entertained enough for you to get stuff done. Mm-hmm. I have done that with this movie before.
If you want something that's like just a smidge dark, where it's like, all right, it's like it's not gonna give them nightmares, but they may feel uneasy by the end of it, or during it at least. Then it's not gonna really, outside of like one scene, not really scary. It's just kind of, it's dark humor.
Yeah, like I would show this to our nephews of all ages,
yeah,
and our little cousins,
yeah,
of both genders.
Yeah.
I would not show this to our niece. She is so soft-hearted. She would come and hide and hide on me.
Yeah, yeah.
She's so sweet though.
She is. All right, so next is 2012's The Life of Pi. Gonna be honest, I own the book and have never read it, so I don't know how close to the book it is. I did enjoy the movie. I know stuff came out later that, especially for the CG portion, they were not treated well and or paid well, so that is unfortunate. That kind of all came out like much later, and we bought this movie at like Goodwill, so like the company behind it didn't get it sent from us. But anyways, yeah, it is about a guy telling a story of how he survived a boat crash, like a storm there, and kind of the semi-fantasy that happens with him and the tiger that's in there. Tiger doesn't like talk or anything, which going into the movie blind, I was disappointed because I thought the tiger was gonna talk to him, but no, it's just more of a survival thing, and it was okay. I thought it was pretty thought provoking at the time. Now I'm just like, I don't really really know what the movie really is trying to say. And I don't know if that's just lost in translation from the book, or if it followed the book really closely, and the book's just also kind of like trying to, I don't know, say something or whatever. But did you have thoughts on this one?
Okay, first of all, the movie is very pretty.
It is very pretty.
And that goes to the CGI team and the effects team.
Yeah.
They deserve their flowers. They should have got paid correctly. I have read the book, and I've seen the movie a few times. At this point, for me, it's hard to tell what I read and what I saw.
Okay.
Because it all just kind of is blending together.
Okay.
Because I read it in school.
Yeah.
I believe it was my senior year we read it.
Okay.
So, at this point, like, I remember certain plot points, but I can't remember which medium it came from.
Gotcha.
So I don't remember if the movie went into him exploring different religions and deciding to practice Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam all at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't remember if the movie went into that or not.
The movie did go into that.
Okay. And, like, the whole storyline at the beginning of it where he decides to go by Pi because his name is Pissing, and it sounds like pissing.
Yeah.
So he was getting made fun of for it. And it's a coming of age story. It's a growing up story, but in a more, like, fantastical setting. And when he's telling this reporter the story of him in the boat and the tiger, and the reporter goes, well, that doesn't sound real. That doesn't sound like it actually happened. So he then tells him, well, this was a story that I told the insurance people, and they weren't satisfied with it either, so this is a story I gave them to make them kind of go away. And at that point, it was him replacing all the animals in the story with people that were on the boat with him. And that one is more believable, but it's not as satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So he even asked the reporter at the end, which story do you prefer? And the reporter's just like, the one with the tiger. And he's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So for me, it's like, even the reporter is questioning if, maybe the story with all the animals, because in the book, and I think in the movie to start off with, it's him, the tiger, an orangutan, a zebra, and a hyena.
Yes.
Because his parents ran a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the zebra and the orangutan are on the boat with them. The hyena comes out and kills the zebra because it's injured and eats the zebra, and then kills the orangutan and eats the orangutan. And then the tiger comes out and kills and eats the hyena and leaves him alone. And then, the whole reason he survives is because he takes care of the tiger, and it makes the tiger not want to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he goes to tell the story with replacing it with humans, now the orangutan is his mom, the zebra is a sailor, the hyena is the cook, and he's the tiger. So, everyone still ends up, killing each other to survive, basically. Basically, the cook kills the zebra, and the cook kills the sailor, and then his mother, and then he kills the cook. So it's the reporter's even questioning, is the story with the animals just an allegory to make things more palatable? Because the real story is kind of more horrific. And honestly, that's the side of it that I believe more, because it is kind of a you decide kind of ending.
Yeah.
And I remember having discussions about it in high school, which of the two stories do you actually believe? And most of us landed on the people. And it's just trauma response is replacing them with the animals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Next is Matilda, which is another one of your favorite films.
I love Matilda.
So I'll let you talk about this one.
Matilda is your magical girl story. It is. It is this sweet little, super smart little girl who figures out she has telekinetic powers because she's trying to protect herself and her friends from this absolutely insane principal, basically.
Yeah.
Of her school. And, like, all these little tiny kids are terrified of this woman, which, honestly, when you see her for the first time, you completely understand why everyone is terrified of Trunchbull. She looks scary. So, like, you have her, doing all these, like, little tricks and everything, not only to, like, entertain her classmates, but to scare the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And then to come to find out that the principal is, like, the aunt of her teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And is, like, she's, like, taken the teacher's house and kicked her out and taken over. And the teacher's just this sweet little meek woman who's just trying to teach these first graders. Also, Matilda's parents are horrible people, which for me is hilarious because it's Danny DeVito,
right?
Can you find a sweeter man?
Yeah. And Rhea Perlman, who's also sweet, and also they were married for like the longest time.
Yeah, they were married during this movie.
Yeah,
and to find out, the history with them and
Mara Wilson
is so sweet.
Yeah.
Which makes watching the movie even more fun because
right.
you get
because
to
off as soon as they yell, as Danny DeVito yells cut, because he directed this film as well. This is one of Danny DeVito's films, and if you didn't know, like, if you just know Danny as the actor, that's fine. That's what most people know him from. But he's actually a really great director. He's made like a bunch of iconic films, mostly comedies, or at least dark comedies, some dramatic stuff. But, like, yeah, he's one of those people where it's just, like, if I see his name in the credits as the director, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm in for a good time.
I mean, not even if he's directing, if he's involved in the production at all. He's the whole reason we decided to watch It's Always Sunny.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now that's a show we love now, too.
Mm-hmm.
But Danny DeVito is one of those, at this point, creator. He's not even just an actor. He's just all-around creative.
Yeah.
One, put him in a bubble because he's getting up there.
Oh, yeah.
Two, I literally will watch anything that man is involved in because it's always good.
Even if you, well, I don't know. You in the previous video, you did say you were not the biggest fan of, what is it? The Barney movie.
Death to Smoochie?
Death to Smoochie. You did not like. That's another one.
Just because that was just a little too intense for me. There's a little too much going on. It was just a little much, but I didn't hate it as much as a lot of other movies.
Fair enough.
That one's just one of those. It's a one and done for me. That was really intense.
Going back to this, you've watched this probably
so many times. Yeah. Like, this is my favorite Roald Dahl. Like, I love this. Normally, I am not a huge Roald Dahl fan. A lot of his stories I'm just not into.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, I don't care about the witches.
You're not a big fan of Willy Wonka?
No.
I know you don't like James and the Giant Peach.
No.
Is Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I do enjoy Fantastic Mr. Fox, but to a much lesser degree than Matilda.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it's Matilda.
The BFG?
It's okay. It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute, but I don't really get a whole lot from it.
Fair enough. But Matilda.
Matilda.
Gotcha.
And so I do enjoy the musical more, but that's because I am a theater kid.
Yeah.
But when I say more, I mean like half a step more.
Fair enough. Gotcha.
Not even a full, like half a step more.
And for me, I've seen both of them, and I did also grow up with this film, kind of. I didn't watch it like from a young age, but like as soon as I was able to like start renting films, I rented this one quite a bit, and eventually owned it and watched it. And it came on television a lot, so I did technically grow up with this one. And yeah, it's a great film. It is a really good Roald Dahl adaptation. I prefer this version over the musical, but that's just because I just really like the cast for this.
Yeah.
Like, outside of Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman, you've got, of course, Mara Wilson being... This is, like, Mara Wilson during her whole, movie time that she was doing. But you also, got, people like Erin Beth Davids as Miss Honey is great. Pam Ferris, she's actually a really nice person, and she's done
how it goes.
She's done other stuff, and apparently her and Mara are like best friends and stuff, and it's really cute.
That's usually how it goes when someone plays a villain that well.
Yeah.
They're usually like the sweetest person.
Yeah. And then of course, there's like a side plot, because the mom and dad are like doing pretty much everything illegal, like tax evading and he's a used car salesman, and he's doing all this stuff to like make the cars seem a lot better than they really aren't. And so they have FBI agents investigating them. And one of the FBI agents is played by friggin' Paul Rubens, which, if that name doesn't ring a bell, Pee Wee Herman, that's him. And also Tracy Walters, the other FBI agent. They're just, investigating this house and the whole time. And yeah, it's just, and of course all the other kids are great and adorable.
They're so good. Oh my goodness, the little kid who has to eat all that cake.
Oh, yeah.
That scene, man.
And I love the 30th anniversary or the 25th anniversary where they did they redid that scene with them all as adults.
Well, it'd have to be the 25th because the 30th is this year.
Oh, wow, this turns 30 years old. Good Lord. Ow. Right in that childhood there.
To be fair, we were only 3 when this came out.
It's true. But still, stuff like this and Pokemon turning 30 years old is just like, ow. No, stop. But yeah, great little fantasy film. As far as Roald Dahl, it's not my favorite, but that's just because I really like James and the Giant Peach. And James and the Giant Peach will always be my favorite, and then probably if I had to rank them, it'd be like James and the Giant Peach, Willy Wonka, Fantastic Mr. Fox, the BFG, Matilda, the Witches. Yeah, that would be my ranking.
That's fair. For someone who is a Roald Dahl fan. I'm just not.
Yeah. Alright, so last one is a collection of films by the fantastic, I want to try to pronounce his name right. He's French. It's Georges Méliès. So he was before he was into films, he was just a magic illusionist. He did magic tricks and stuff. And then film came around in the 1800s and late 1800s, early 1900s. And whereas everybody else was just like, oh, yeah, we can tell stories, he was like, no, you don't understand. I can do magic tricks. And he is the grandfather, the great-great-great-grandfather of special effect filmmaking. Like, he figured out, like, yo, if you just stop the frame and move something and then start rolling it again, because that's how you gotta crank them, you can do the illusions. He was figuring out green screen effects before computers were even an idea. He was superimposing images onto each other. He was making these, because he was in the theater business first, he was seeing he was like, you can do these giant productions with these big orchestrated effects and set pieces and people in costumes, and get and tell stories. Not just like everybody was doing that time was either a comedy with slapstick, or it was like a drama. It was a true story. Of course, this was all in the silent film era. He was seeing it as like, no, you can do fantasy films. You can do science fiction. You can get. He really was the first one to like adapt H.G. Wells, which is like the from the first. It's like From the Earth to the Moon. Like people know there's other stories like Around the World in 80 Days, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He was seeing these books and he was like, yes, we can finally tell these stories in a way that's not just page, ink and paper. We can like show these worlds. And he did. He was able to show rockets, the before rocket ships were even an idea. He was like, here's what a rocket ship would look like. Here's what aliens would look like. Here's under the sea exploring mermaids and dragons and giant creatures that were like way before anything Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, any of that ever came to scene, he was there figuring it out and was like, you can do this. And then he got really. I'm just kind of getting pieces here. I believe he got like just really depressed one day, and I'm not sure if it's something in regards to his wife passing away, because he used his wife in all his films, or it was just something mental health wise. But he just started destroying his films, and this also was during a time where they were using, I think it was called nitrate as film, which is very flammable and does not keep as long as like film does nowadays. So a lot of his films were either burned or just kind of lost to time because of just the way that breaks down over time. So there's a lot of films. He's made over 500 films, and like most of them are like lost media. So the few that we do is because those were the most popular and were made copies of hundreds, or in bunkers and very heavily kept and protected and pristine condition to be shown. The most notable one that most people, even if you've never seen one of his films, you probably do recognize the rocket ship piercing the moon in the eye, and the bleeding moon goo and stuff. That's his from the first man on the moon, from the Earth to the moon. That's one of his films. So it's like it's nuts that this guy that made these films over 100 years ago still has literally one of the most iconic pieces of films ever made there in his filmography. And so this collection is it's about 10 or so of his films. They're the ones that are in the most pristine condition. It's got a couple options. There's one that has like an audio commentary, somebody trying to kind of explaining what's going on, which you don't really need, because like these are all very well visually told. He doesn't even really have a lot of title cards or note cards like a lot of films had at the time. It was very much, he knew how to, with the expressions and with the set pieces and stuff, tell a story without having to, every couple of minutes, having a giant black frame with text in it. There you've got, and then the other versions that are on this are, there's ones that are more with classical pieces of music that would have been more fitting, and then there's more modern type of music to where it would kind of fit for the film nowadays, or at least when the film came out. It's a great collection there. If you've never heard of this guy before, but you've like recognized his face or recognized some of his films, because I'm showing pictures of some of the films here, you most likely know him because he's the pinnacle for the movie Hugo that came out in 2011. That is kind of like a story telling, through the eyes of a boy there, that this whole industry and this man and his legacy and stuff there, through some fantasy stuff that got made up for a book there. So yeah, that's where you would probably have known this from. Your thoughts in general for Georges Méliès?
The only image I recognize is the rocket going through the moon's eye. And it is from Hugo. You haven't actually shown me this yet, because I'm pretty sure we only kind of recently got it.
I got it probably a year or so ago, yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't sat down and watched it together yet, because we've been like extremely busy this past year between life and events and health stuff. So we haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it together yet. I am interested in it. I am ready to watch it at some point. So yeah.
So that's going to be the end of this video here. Tune in the end of next month when we'll talk about the rest of our fantasy films, because we don't own a lot of fantasy as compared to some other genres, but it's enough to last 2 months there. And as I said at the beginning, if you enjoy listening to mine or Shelby's voice, make sure to like and subscribe for future videos. These come out at the end of every month, and we go over all of our movies that we own. And if there's one we did not talk about in this video or a previous video, comment down below and let us know. As I said, it's because we either don't own it or just aren't aware of it. Until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.